Hi everybody, Mr. Burns here. These are some sub plans. The next couple of weeks I have a few days where I'm going to be gone because of coaching. And so sub plans are going to become something you're going to see a few times over the next couple weeks. There'll always be a video like this, and I'll give you some instructions, and there's almost always some assessment associated with the work that you do in class each day. So please make sure that you're actually participating in whatever the lesson is that I ask you to participate in that day. Um, it's not a free day, although I will probably plan activities that if you're efficient and you're working quickly, you can get done and and be finished and have some time to work on other things as you'd like. If you're not efficient, well, that's up to you. Here's the assignment for today. Today you're going to go into your notes, the notes on mollusks. We were looking at some of these notes last week. Let me scroll up here. They look kind of like this. Okay, there's 3 pages of notes. They were on a couple of different pages in your notebook, but basically it's a table. We were originally going to do a dissection today, but we're going to have to push that back. We'll do a little bit of that tomorrow. Today, well, not tomorrow, but the next class that we have together, tomorrow for some of you. Today you're going to be finishing these notes on mollusks, and we're going to talk first about their defining trait. Now these notes should already be in your notes. The assignment that's going to come at the end of this will actually happen the next time we're in class together, and I have a little assessment that you can take. It's an open notes assessment, so you'll be able to use all the notes that you take in class today, but it'll be pretty tough if you don't take the notes. Now I'm going to go kind of quickly through the material. My advice to you is that you just listen along. When you get to a section, pause it, record the information, and then unpause it. But rather than wait for all the time for you to record, that's how I'm going to do it. So we should already have the defining traits recorded for bivalves, gastropods, and cephalopods. These are the 3 main types of mollusks. We'll look at some videos in class later on, but these are the 3 main types of mollusks. Once we've thought about the mantle, which is the structure that covers their body and does a variety of things, and for which you've written some information down. Another topic of information that I'd like you to be able to compare between the groups is one of the other 4 characteristics of animals, which is their ability to move materials through the body. And if you recall from the worms, the materials and the periphery, cnidaria, the important things to move through your body are food and oxygen. These 2 things recorded in the center of the screen here. Bivalves and gastropods have the same kind of way of moving food and oxygen through their body. They have what's called an open circulatory system. So they have a heart, like you and I. The heart is kind of this red object in the diagram right here. So it looks a lot like a heart, but you'll notice there's a little tube going into it and then a little tube going out of it, but those tubes are not connected together. You see this tube right here is actually in the center of the bivalve as part of its intestines. So that tube is open on either end, and then the blood, which they have blood, just kind of flushes around inside their body as this heart squeezes and moves it around. Bivalves and gastropods have an open circulatory system. It's a good circulatory system in that it doesn't take very much energy to work. It's not a high pressure system, so the heart doesn't have to work very hard. So for animals that don't need to use a lot of energy to move quickly, it works really well because it conserves energy. However, the downside of it is that it really only allows slow motion because you can't move a lot of food and oxygen to your muscles, so your muscles can't work very hard. And you should kind of have that information in there, right? You should have what kind of system they have and what advantages they provide. Now, cephalopods, these are things like squid and octopus. They have a different thing going. So cephalopods have a closed circulatory system. They have a heart, and that heart moves blood through a series of tubes that connects back to the heart, just like what you and I have. And the advantage of cephalopods as a result is that they can move much faster because they can move food and oxygen to their muscles, and their muscles can contract and do work. Um, and so a closed circulatory system is an advantage if you're an animal that needs to move rapidly. The disadvantage is that it uses a lot more energy. So you also have to go and catch more food and have more things to eat. Okay, so that's moving materials through the body. Please pause and record the information that's on there if you haven't already done so. Another main topic is how they communicate through their body. So all mollusks have what's called cephalization. So in the case of communicating through the body, we're talking about how do they send information from one place to another, right? So in you and I, how do we send information from like our fingertip to our brain that senses that something just touched our fingertip, and then how do we send a message back to our fingertip that says, hey, wiggle? That's communicating through your body, right? So all mollusks have nerves and sense organs, so they can sense pressure and they can see light, and they have, right, they can smell, they can taste. And they're arranged near a head, which is called cephalization. Yes, even a mollusk or a bivalve or a gastropod, like a clam or a snail, they have heads. And they have what's known as cephalization, which is just a concentration of nerves. The most highly developed cephalization is in the cephalopods, right? So cephalization, cephalopods. They're active predators. Their highly developed nervous system allows them to hunt prey and search out things that they want to catch and then capture them. And they're also very intelligent, so they can plan their attacks, they can remember where food was, and things like that. They also have very complex eyes, so their sense organs, their ability to communicate information about their environment is really well developed. Feeding and waste removal, another characteristic that all living things need to have. Bivalves are filter feeders. They bring water in through their siphons, and then the gills and the palps trap the food, and then the waste is passed out the anus, which then through a siphon shoots the waste out of their shells. Gastropods have a mouth with something called a radula. I know I'm going quickly here, pause it if you need to. A radula scrapes food off of the surfaces that they're crawling on, so they can feed on small animals and plants and algae and things like that. And then cephalopods are the most active feeders, right? They have a closed circulatory system, they have highly developed sense organs and communication, and as a result, they're active feeders. And here we see a squid, and you can see that's the large beak here that they use to grab and hold on to their prey. Reproduction, this is kind of small here. So reproduction in bivalves. Bivalves undergo sexual reproduction. They are hermaphrodites, meaning they produce both sperm and egg inside of the body, and they use external fertilization. So the sperm and egg are released out into the water and then join up outside of the water. Gastropods also use sexual reproduction. They're also hermaphrodites, meaning they can be both male and female in the same individual. They produce both sperm and egg. But they use internal fertilization, so the sperm has to somehow be inserted into one of the two animals, usually the female, to fertilize the eggs. They have all kinds of weird ways of doing this. If you're curious, the gastropods for sure have the most interesting sort of ways of sexually reproducing of any of the animals. Dart shooting is just one of those techniques. You see the little dart sticking out of the head of this snail here. That dart was shot by its mate. When this snail was impaled with that dart, basically told that snail through a chemical signal that this snail was going to act as the female. The other was going to be the male. The other one donated the sperm, and then this one produced eggs, and then that's how they reproduced. But there was a whole competitive event beforehand to see who could shoot the other with a dart. Cephalopods are sexual reproducing as well, but they're dioecious, meaning they're either male squid or octopus, or they're female. So one individual can only produce either sperm or egg, and they also use internal fertilization. All right, that's it for today. Look at these cool mollusks. There's the eye of a clam. Who knew, right? I will see you guys in class either Thursday or Friday, depending upon the schedule that your class has this week. All right, bye guys.